In this video, I'm going to show you kind of a demo of how events work. Events are special functions that run every time the user successfully enters a command, and they can be used to check for situations in the world that may require attention. So what I'm going to do here is create like an Indiana Jones-like scenario where the player's got this statue and they've got to put it on a pedestal, and when they do that, a door is going to open up. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an event that says if the idol is on the pedestal and the door is closed, well, then we have to open the door. And then conversely, if the idol is not on the pedestal, but the door is open, that means we need to close the door. So as long as the idol is on the pedestal, the door will be open. So this event is going to check to see, is the idol on the pedestal or not, and do I need to open and close the door accordingly? So let's just take a look at the world here. So I've got the off-screen player temple. That's just a regular boring old room. I have an ornate pedestal. I have marked that as a supporter, which means I can put things on it. I have a small gold idol, which I will make portable. And notice that the pedestal here is, its description is flat top pedestal, or the flat top pedestal is adorned with intricate carvings of monkeys. And there's like, and then the small gold idol is like a statuette of a monkey. So there's maybe, okay, hang on, there's some association between two things. That's kind of where the writing comes in. The writing of the descriptions of these objects somehow suggests that they're related. And maybe for the ornate pedestal, I'll say something like an ornate pedestal sits in the center of the room, sits in the center of the chamber. And that way it will say that instead of there's a pedestal here. Let's test it out. Okay, so there's my room. Temple, you are standing in the chamber. An ornate pedestal sits in the center of the chamber. On the north side of the temple is a heavy stone door. So here's our heavy stone door. It's in the temple. I've marked that it's a door. And I've not checked the open and openable things because we want it to be closed and we don't want the player to be able to open it, right? It's not something the player can open. It's something we're going to open using our event. And let's just test out that that this will work. So there's my small gold idol. Let me say put idol on pedestal. Done. Okay, look. Okay, you are standing in a long chamber. A ornate pedestal. An ornate pedestal sits in the center of the chamber. On the ornate pedestal is a small gold idol. On the north side of the temple is a heavy stone door. Okay, so now we've got the pedestal on the idol. And then let me go fix that writing real fast. There it is. An ornate pedestal sits in the center of the chamber. Okay, so what we want to do now is make an event. And let's say I'll call this like, temple door event. Oh, I guess there's a limit on that. I should change that. EVT for short. I'll go remove that limit. We don't need that anymore. Okay, so now I've made an event, and this event, whatever code I put here, is going to run every time the user successfully enters a command. So the user command will be processed, and then all the events run. So what does this event need to do? Well, let's say, okay, so if the idol is on the pedestal, but the door is closed, now we need to open the door. So let's make an if statement. If, tab. Now, how do we express that the pedestal, or that the idol is on the pedestal? Well, that means that the player, or that the idol's location, parent, holder, those are the pedestal. Like the idol is contained in the pedestal. Let me go back here and actually get the names of these objects here. So the ornate pedestal, I know I'll need that. Well, let me use the small gold idol here. So if the small gold idol's parent object, we could say parent, we could say holder, we could say location. Those are all the same thing. So let's just, just for fun here, if the small gold idol's location is equal to the ornate pedestal. So think of the dot as the apostrophe S. The small gold idol's location is, and then think of this, is, or is. This is a comparison. This is a question. Double equals is a question. You are testing for equality. Are these things equal? So if the small gold idol is on the pedestal and the door is closed, and that's the double ampersand, that's shift 7. I mean, that is and. When I see that, I hear and in my head. If somebody said, write out the word and, I would probably write out that instead of the letters A and D, because that's what I do. And the door is open. So it was called the heavy stone door, or maybe it was the large stone door. We'll check here. Let's look. It was the heavy stone door. All right, the heavy stone door. And how do we test its open property? Well, dot open. And what do we want to see? We want to test to see if it's equal to 0. Is equal to 0, which means false. Or you could just write false. That would work too. So what this says is, if this is a question, or it's a test, it's a condition to test. If the small gold idol's location is the ornate pedestal and the heavy stone door's open bit is set to 0, that means the door's closed. Now we need to open the door. Open the door. So let's do PR tab tab. The heavy stone door slides open. There we go. Now what I would do here is, you know, if I actually had like a secret room, I would change the north connection of the temple. I would say, you know, temple dot north equals new room. Oh no, I wouldn't even have to do that. Wouldn't have to do that. If this heavy stone door is in fact a door, it would work out great. Let's make sure that it is a door. Is it a door? Yep, it's a door. Awesome. We don't need to do that. Let's go back to events. All right. Now, the other condition, let's just test out that works. And just to prove to you how this works, or help make it a little bit clearer, I'm going to say running door event. Save. Let's test it. Okay. Watch this. Wait. Running door event. Wait. Running door event. Wait. Running door event. So every time I enter a command, the events get run. So we don't need this anymore, because we know now that it's running every turn. So this is checking to see, is the small gold idol's location the ornate pedestal, and the heavy stone door is open, which means it's closed, or open bit is set to 0, which means it's closed. Now we want to open the door. Oh, and then we actually need to change the state of the door. Heavy stone door dot open equals 1. There we go. So this trips people up a lot. Double equals means test for equality. This is a comparison. Double equals is a comparison. One equal sign is an assignment. You are taking the thing on the right and assigning it, copying it into the thing on the left. You're saying this is this, right? That is, take this and stuff it into this. Double equals is a comparison. All right, so let's so let's just run it. Let's run it and see if it works. All right, so there is my my game here, and we put the idol on the pedestal. Done. The heavy stone door slides open. Okay, cool. And let's just type wait. Right? So notice it only happened once, because after we opened the door, we changed its state. So the next time this event ran, is this true? Yes. Is this part true? No, because the heavy stone door's open bit is now set to 1. So in order for this to evaluate to true, everything in it has to be true. All right, so there's getting the door to open. Now let's make an event to close the door. We could use I guess these are kind of two unrelated things. So we can have two separate if statements. We don't need to use an else if. So let's say let's just kind of clone all this. We'll say if the small gold idle's location is not the pedestal. So to say is not, that's exclamation point equals, is not equal to. If the small gold idle's location is not equal to the ornate pedestal and the heavy door is open, so let's test if its open bit is set to 1, that means the player must have taken the idle off of the pedestal, and then we'll print the heavy stone door slides closed, and then we'll set the open bit to 0. So let's try it. Let's see if it works. Okay, so put idle on pedestal. Done. The heavy stone door slides open. Now watch this. Watch what happens when I take the idle. Taken. The heavy stone door slides closed. Right? So after I took the idle, it was no longer on the pedestal, and the door was still open. So now we realize we have to close the door. Okay, so we've got our door mechanic going here using an event. Now, let's add one more nice touch to this thing. So if I launch the player and I try to open the door, they'll say that's not openable. And that's not a very satisfying description, right? That's just kind of very robotic. And the reason it does that is because we've got this heavy stone door, and the openable bit is set to false, right? Or it's not on. The player is not allowed to open this thing. So when you try to carry out an action on that thing, using the verb open, well, let's go to the verb checks. It's going to check to see, do you see the first noun, or did you supply a noun? If you're going to open something, you have to say what you want to open. Do you see the thing you're trying to open? Is it openable? And is it unlocked? So all of these checks have to run before you try to open something. And what's going on is we're hitting this check, is the thing openable? And if it's not, then it's going to print out that's not openable, and you can, and it stops. It doesn't carry out the action. So let's make our own check here. I'm going to say check open stone door. I'm going to click add function. And now I've got my own little function in here where I can put stuff. So what I want to do is check to see if that first noun, or the thing that the player is trying to open, is the door. Now there's two ways to do this. I originally had it DOBJ, the direct object, that's what that's short for, it's the first noun in the sentence. It turns out I don't know why I did that, and I hate that. So a synonym for that is noun one, and that's a lot easier to understand. I grew up diagramming sentences. I understand objects of prepositions and subordinate clauses, but apparently they don't do that in schools anymore. And if I say what's the indirect object of the sentence, people don't know. So let's just call it noun one. If noun one is equal to the heavy stone door, well, what do I want to do? I don't want the player to be able to open the door. So let's say print line, tab, that actually worked. The door is too heavy to open by hand, right? And then that also tells the player, okay, maybe there's some other way to open the door. And now I'm going to put in the function stop, open paren, close paren, semicolon. So what I've done now is made a check function that says check opening the stone door, and then we're going to say if that thing the player is trying to open is the heavy stone door, print the door is too heavy to be opened by hand, and stop. Don't carry out the action of don't process this sentence anymore. Now what we need to do is take this check function and add it to the verb open. So let me go to the verb open here. I'm going to select my check at the bottom, and I'm going to bump it over. Now I've got a problem here. The checks run in the order they're specified here. So it's going to hit this check to see if the door is openable before it hits this check about whether or not it's the stone door. So let me bump that up. So did I supply a noun? Do I see the thing I'm trying to open? Is it the stone door? Okay, if it is, then, or check to see if it's the stone door. If it is, print that's too heavy to be opened by hand, and stop. All right, let's see if it works. So let's test this out, and now if I run this here, let's go back to the verb open and just take a look at what's going to happen. We hope So when we run the verb, we try to open something. Did we supply a noun? Do we see that noun? Check to see if it's the stone door. If the first noun in the sentence is the heavy stone door, print. You can't open that by hand. It's too heavy to open by hand. It's called the stop function to end processing. And that's going to be the end of it. So let's run this thing. And now if I try to open the door is too heavy to open by hand, right? So now let's put the idle on. So that's cool. That's a lot better than that's not openable. Put idle on pedestal. Okay, done. You put the idle on the pedestal, the heavy stone door slides open. Okay, cool. So neat. This all works. So there's that. The whole purpose of this was just to show you how events run. They run every time the user, I want to say every frame, but there's no frames. It's every time the user successfully enters a command. That all the events that you have had will execute. Now, this thing right here about the first one, it's worth mentioning. Could you have done this with a sentence? Could you make a sentence that says, put the gold idol on the pedestal, and then when you do that, then print the door slides open? Absolutely. You could absolutely have done that differently. What about the second part? Could you make a function that says, if you take the gold idol, and the things on the pedestal, then close the door? Yes, you could do that, but the taking of it is a little complicated, because what if you, instead of saying take the idol, what if you had a bag or something and you said put the idol in the bag? Well, now if the idol was on the pedestal before, now it's in the bag. It's not on the pedestal, but you didn't use the verb take, so that sentence might not get run. So this one I'd say you could, 50-50 whether you do that as an event or a sentence with a tied up, that calls a function. This one my gut is to do that one using an event. So there you go. There's events.